podcast powered by Live Media. Today's topic is but it came to me from a conversation that I had yesterday. And it also came to me from the way I acted today. So I just want to talk about survival and trauma. I'll say we as a collective in the world go through a lot of traumatic experiences or experiences that make us act and react differently. And some things that we learn from those experiences don't apply to where we are now. And I saw a post on Instagram and it said, stop applying level 10 trauma to like that intensity of level 10 trauma to like a level 1 situation, right? Because there's different levels with different situations. And I think that a lot of times we do that. It could be something like you got your toe stumped, but you're applying the same level of trauma as when you suffered a concussion, right? Those are two different things. You're applying the same type of reactions, emotions, and all of that. Not to say anything is incorrect or anything is not reflective of that situation, but sometimes we have to kind of like look and see what's going on. So I'm going to use my experience just being in traumatic relationships, right? I've, dated around and stuff in life, and I've had a lot of situations with males that were not positive. I've also had a lot of situations with males that were extremely positive, and I think that it's important to know green flags the same way you do red flags, right? Because there's such thing. Green flags, positive things you want out of a spouse, significant other, mate, what have you. And then there's red flags, things you need to run away from, things you need to take heed to, and things you need to address. The difference in that is discernment. Survival and discernment go hand in hand, right? Because like I said, with the trauma and the level of intensities, you have to make a discernment of what applies. If the glove doesn't fit, you must quit. Like, don't apply. If it's not applicable, it's not applicable. And that's on you to determine. Like, somebody else can't tell you, like, you should not have done that. Like, that's not a thing. But it's important for you to figure that out. A lot of times, if you've been in relationships and stuff that were not favorable or were traumatic or were like cray, when you get in something that's positive, it's very hard sometimes for you to adjust and modify. It might be instances where something is not even really a big deal, but you're just like waiting for the other shoe to drop because you've been in those situations. I kind of just want to encourage you on the process of that, right? It's not an overnight process, it's lengthy, and it's very important for you to have someone that's patient, and it's even more important for you to be patient with yourself. Because it's a journey. It's really a journey. You have to really sit and say, okay, let me stop doing this. And a lot of times it's anxiety. And what people don't want to talk about is anxiety. It's a real thing. It's a crippling thing. And it can feel like a heart attack, or it could just feel like sweats. However it manifests for you, it manifests differently. But you have to ground yourself when you're having that. Another thing I saw recently was your emotions are not facts, right? They're not facts. They're emotions. It's just what happens. So, and your perception is your reality. So, when you have a situation, you have to choose to look at it objectively as well as subjectively, right? Because you got to figure out what's going on and as it relates to you, but you got to look at the big picture overall to figure out what is really going on. You got to put those glasses on, you got to get that vision right, and you got to figure out what is happening. And when you use your objective lens, you're able to see it differently. Subjectively, you're only thinking about yourself. You only think about your emotions, you only think about whatever. Objectively, you're looking at the factual basis, the evidence. You're looking at it like a doctor and a lung, for example, like a cardiopulmonologist. You're looking at it and you're like, okay, this looks like a diseased lung from somebody who smoked for 50 years or whatever. Instead of being like a family member and you're like, oh my God, what can I do? Like, it's different. It's different lenses. Let's not get lost in the weeds of examples. But with that, you got to figure out what to apply. Survival is very elementary, right? You have different totem poles of things that survive other things, right? You got fish that eat things. You have birds that eat fish. You have animals that eat fish. You have people that eat animals. It's a whole hierarchy, right? So in survival and tactics and everything, there's also a hierarchy. The first key is discernment, though. So in discerning the hierarchy and discerning the level of trauma that you need to apply and discerning the intensity, you have to look at yourself, and you have to be patient, as I said before, and determine the growth that you have at this moment. You're not going to apply the same type of survival skills that you did in 2015 today, hopefully, unless it was warranted. But you elevate and you continue to grow, and you continue to learn and unlearn and shed and cover up, and it's different things you do. But I just want to caution you that when you're using that survival mode, figure out if it's warranted. I was in a situation with a dude that was not really great for my life, and then getting into a positive situation, a lot of times I'm waiting for that other shoe to drop. I'm waiting for myself to be let down. I'm waiting for craziness to happen. And when you wait for things like that, you're indirectly manifesting it. Your subconscious does not know. Your subconscious does not know. Your subconscious is like a 2-year-old in the stage of trying to figure out if the oven is hot, right? They don't know. They weren't born into the world knowing the risk that it takes. And your subconscious is the same way, in the manner of which, like, if you're continuously thinking of things that you don't want, you're manifesting those things indirectly. You need to really take your brain, retrain it, redraw the structures, realign, whatever you need to do, and think of things that you want to align with, things that you love, things that you want to bring into you, things that you want to manifest, things that you want to have. So you don't have to use those survival techniques. You don't have to apply those level 10 trauma to level 1 things. You might not even experience trauma as much as you did when you were in situations that you didn't want to be in. But the more you think about things that you don't want to happen, the bigger probability that it probably will. And I'm not trying to be negative about a situation. I just want to be realistic in the sense that you are creating your quality of life every day. How you wake up, how you react to things, how you get your things done and accomplished, how you eat, how you work out or lack of workout, how you talk to yourself. That's the biggest one. We look at food and we look at water and things we consume, and we try to do that the right way, but a lot of times we forget about what else we're feeding ourselves. That could be music we're listening to, that could be shows we're watching, people we hang out with, affirmations that we lack in saying, or talking to ourselves in a negative mode instead of uplifting each other. So I just want you to know that it's so possible for you to retrain. You can be 80 and retrain your brain. You can be 15 and retrain your brain. Like, no matter what, survival mode is in you, because by human nature you have to have that. It's a eat or get eaten world, but you don't want to do that to yourself. You don't want to consume so much things that you kind of harm yourself, and it's at the detriment to you instead of the benefit. So I want to just caution you to just sit with yourself, retrain your brain if you have negative thoughts or anxiety, get therapy, talk to your mate or your family member or your loved one or whatever that causes those situations for you to apply those trauma skills that you've learned. And I want to thank you for listening to this. I know it was kind of like super straight on, but I just really wanted to get this out because it's so important. And I know I do it all the time, and I'm trying to unlearn and retrain my brain as much as possible to be in a healthy mode, to exist in a healthy lifestyle, to live well. Like, literally, I am making sure my brand is me. And I want you all to live well. I want you all to be you, be authentic, love yourself, know yourself, give yourself, hug yourself. Whatever you need to do to get you to that living well. Again, my name is Liv. Thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast on Talk Your Ish Tuesdays. And I hope you have an amazing day, night, week, month, year, whatever it is. And I want you to be you, stay hydrated, and live well.